Hi, I'm Cash, and this is where I talk football. I use my over 20 plus years coaching experience and break down all the goals scored by every single team in the Premier League. And right now we're doing Manchester City against Chelsea, and of course there's VAR controversy and a whole bunch of referees getting everything wrong. But also here you're going to hear stuff that you don't hear on the sports punditry because they're all bought and paid for, and they keep talk complete and utter nonsense. How do we know this? Well, the penalty given here is the exact same reason why they were saying last week against Newcastle and Arsenal that it wasn't a penalty. So all those pundits were going, no, it wasn't a penalty when he pushed him in the back and scored the goal. Well, this week it is a penalty because the ref's given it. Our VAR's given it. But let's look at the first part of this whole breakdown of this because no one's even going to talk about this on Sky Sports or any of the TV channels. Watch this. This guy here is going to knock this guy into Reece James here, so he can't challenge. You see that? Bump. He knocks him in, bump, and creates that havoc. Let's just make sure I play that back so you see it properly, right? Just so we can see this chaos that happens here. Dump, in he comes, bump, knocks into him, and creates that problem. That's a foul, right? So if we're looking back on VAR straight away, that is incident 1. And then there's going to be incident 2 over here for the goal. If incident 1 is a foul, incident 2 is irrelevant because this foul overrules that one. Let's have a look, see what they do though. It's not corrupt. Honest, it's not corrupt. Look, they're asking for Rodri's just asking for the ball. It's coming out here, and we can see these two here getting ready for the ensuing cross. And here it comes. Haaland and Cucurella, bit of a 50-50. They're fighting each other, but Haaland's going to win that fight ultimately. The fact that he hasn't asked Thiago Silva to come and help him, well, he doesn't really need to when it turns out. Watch what happens. Ball comes in, and Thiago Silva wins the header. So for this to be a penalty, that mustn't be a foul, which it was. And Thiago Silva needs to get out of the way somehow because Haaland needs to be able to transport through him and win the ball. And they all scream for a penalty. And of course, they get the penalty. So let's have a look at the VAR and show you what they did. There's a little tug, as you can see on Haaland's shirt, just there ever so slightly. And he goes down way too easy. He falls down and he gets a penalty and he scores it. That's just terrible. The fact that they're given that and it's gone to VAR and that's a penalty. But last week it wasn't. It wasn't a foul when Arsenal got scored on by Newcastle. That wasn't a foul, but this is a foul. And that's the problem everybody has. It's the consistency. One week it's this and next week it's that. It all depends on the team and not on the rules of the game. And that's the biggest problem, especially as Man City have the most corrupt sort of VAR decisions so far. They've had goals that were offside given for them, loads of penalties given to them, and players not being sent off, specifically Kovacic in the Arsenal game. 2 red cards he wasn't given. But yeah, we'll go on, we'll give them the goal, and we'll get on to the next one. We will, however, watch the penalty for prosperity reasons, just because, well, yeah, we're going to keep it going. Here we go. Haaland steps up, puts it into the net box, gets his little goal, and off he goes. Here we are for this next goal. Now, remember, if anyone's listened to anything I've said before or any of my other videos, you know how much I go on about having players on the post. And the reason is you're not defending the post, you're defending the space in front of it so you can run out and head the ball here or run out and head the ball here. Now, you don't really necessarily want 2 on, but if your goalkeeper's back a little bit, he's covering that back post, so you might want someone on this front post to attack this front area here so he can get rid of the ball and you don't have to worry about it as a keeper. You can focus on anything that goes over your head or behind you. Yeah, and away you go. But I want you to notice this is the run. This is where he's going to come. It's a quality front post run into this area here and he gets his goal. Let's have a little look how he flicks this. Also, I don't like it when you leave 2 players like this. Get a body in between them. Go up there. Right now, Kyle Walker needs to be in between these 2 so they don't get this easy run. Because what you'll do is one will jink and the other one will be completely and utterly unmarked. Or the first one will run into you and the second one will run around you and he'll be completely and utterly unmarked. But off we go. Dump straight through here. Completely unmarked. No one's picked him up. And it's a quality little finish into the corner. To be fair, it's a really good little flick header, isn't it? We've got to give him credit for that. Even though there should have been somebody on him, there should have been someone marking him all the way through, but there just wasn't. Let's get on to the next goal. Now these goals are starting to come thick and fast, but you can see how frail Man City can be. 1v1, 1v1, 2v1. If that ball, which it is played into this space here, it completely and utterly exposes them. They're so used to being able to, because they're just better than everybody in every position, that they can deal with the 1v1 situation all of the time. And every now and again, they get caught out. And they have been a couple of times this season. But they lost 2 games, I think, so far. And then we go here. This is interesting, though. He can actually defend this. Let's see if I can find another. Here we are. This is a much better angle. Watch as this ball comes in here. And the defender has a chance, but gets it scuffed and caught under his feet. That's a mistake. They often make those at Man City, but they get punished. That's how they get this goal. Little bit of a mistake because the ball's in behind a little bit hard, and then Reece James comes along, slots the crossover, and it's a tap in for Sterling on the back post. Yeah, Carl Walker should have had him, to be honest. He's fast enough and he's good enough, but overall, I think it's a weak goal for Man City to be conceding, really. But Chelsea looking like they're scoring some goals. But we'll get on to the next one and see what we can find. Coming in from another cross here, as you can see, they're just taking a corner. They've put it out here, and Chelsea are trying to get up. You can see Thiago Silva's trying to make sure that everyone's with him. Look, that's his line. But you have these players here that haven't listened. They've switched off, and they haven't got up with him. You can see that plain as day. This is how you concede goals. Some people are on the plan and doing what they're supposed to. Some of your idiot teammates are off doing stupid idiot teammate stuff. And he's got two of them right here playing these guys on side. So when this ball comes in, Thiago Silva doesn't think there's any problem because everyone should be up and those guys should be level behind him. So what do we mean level behind him? Right. So if the ball's going over his head here, which it is, there should be a level bunch of players right behind him to deal with anything that's behind him. So imagine if you've got all your little defenders in a row, and you've got your little defenders like this. This guy here protects what's in front of him, and this guy here protects what's behind him, and the next guy protects what's behind him, and so on and so forth. So when he's here, he expects someone behind him to cover that space, because that's what you're supposed to do as a central defender. And as it comes in, bump, and he's completely and utterly unmarked. And I'll show you how unmarked he is right now. So just before this ball comes in, you can see that he pushed his line up, but these are the two Muppets that didn't. These guys didn't push the line up with him, so they weren't in line behind him. These guys here, they didn't push up with him, and there's another one back there somewhere. So they didn't stay in line with him. And it's not about being in line and keeping him off sides. It's about covering his back. So that space there is opened up because these guys are too far back. They're 4 or 5 yards away from their centre-back instead of being right behind him. So when this ball comes in and he goes over his head, look, bump, he's got a completely not a free header. And those three are still fighting there at the back post for some reason. Yeah, terrible defending really from Chelsea. Okay, this is really important, and most people aren't even going to pick up on how good this little wee man Phil Foden is right here. And the reason why is this. You're trying to attack this goal over here, right? So you're assuming the guy with the ball wants to beat his man and get around him. No, he's seen the guy on the overlap. Now, here's the problem. Everybody else would be trying to get towards this 18-yard box as quickly as possible. But what they don't realise is this is the space. All this here is the space. If he brings that ball into the space, well, it's not there. You quite often see it when people are by the byline and the ball just goes out of play, or they're trying to get just because they don't understand this concept. You do not want to enter that space, right? Okay, if you can help it. What do you mean? But I'm trying to score in that space. Yeah, I know, but you've got a runner. So what you want to do, you want to be passing the ball into that space as the runner gets there. And that's what's really going to create this goal here. The ball needs to go as the runner's going, and he's got one coming on the overlap. However, if he runs forward and he's here, imagine he's about here when he plays this pass, chances are the ball's going to go out of play, and the guy receiving the ball isn't going to have enough space here, which he really wants, to try to do anything with it. So let's watch as we play this through. Right, you see him, he's holding. There comes the overlapping run. He doesn't want to go into that space. He wants the overlapping player to have that space to use when he gets there. Off he goes, Bosch, plays it in, Bosch, and it goes across for the tap in on the back post. Really well played there. That's how you exploit space. You leave it open and you let your runner go, and you meet him in the middle you meet him at the same time with the pass, and then he can do something in it. If you shut that space down by running into it with the ball and then try to give it to the runner, well, he doesn't have enough space to use, and you get all sorts of problems. But I do want to comment a little bit more about Haaland sliding in here on the back post. So here comes Haaland sliding in on the back post. Bosch, right? Clearly it's not hitting his hand. Clearly it's a goal. No one cares. But VAR cared for about 3 minutes. They were looking at that going, oh, is it possibly a handball? And I don't know why they're doing it. Well, I do. The reason is because VAR is trying to make themselves like, oh, we don't always make mistakes. Look, we got this one right. We're so good. Look at us. There's no point even having a review. Why are you reviewing it? There's nothing to review. But they have to stick their nose in. They have to make it look like, oh, we're trying to do the right thing. Even though that we make the wrong call every single game on every single decision, on this obvious one, we're going to make it look like we've got a win when there's no point you even just turning it on. But they did. They talked about it just so the pundits can go, oh, look, but they got that decision right. Yeah, so what? They got the other ones wrong. No one cares what they get right. You can see again, right, before we even start this, how out of shape Man City are. There were quite a lot in the game, particularly. Look how they're grouped right here. And the reason why I'm pulling this up is because it's leaving a space here. This space is going to become apparent in a minute. Okay, but when this ball comes across here, straight, Bosch, he squeezes the space. You see that? Comes in, steps in, tries to squeeze the space out, but it's a little bit too late. And I'll show you why right now. So this guy's going to hit this drive, but then the difference is this. He's still sitting in the space. No one's reacting because his movement, instead of, so his movement was, which I kind of get why he's out here wide, but I'm not really interested because he's out here and he comes in. That was his movement. So if he was already here, his movement probably would have been here to get rid of the ball right now, but he's not because he's just got there instead of getting ready to clear the ball. It's kind of a weird thing to understand. You'll either completely understand what I'm saying or just think I'm absolutely crazy. But that's the problem with having being out a little bit too wide and being a little bit too out of position. When this rebound comes up now, no one deals with it. Bump. Except for the Chelsea boys. And that's because the guy's out wide here, marking Sterling, where he should have had maybe one of those other 15 players on the other side of the field coming over and helping him, or sitting into that little gap there. And when all of a sudden everything breaks down, Chelsea are there to tap it in and make City look a little bit foolish. Let's get on to the next goal. Well, in true Cash fashion, obviously I'm going to go back and look at this because I've spotted something else I want to talk about. Right, this is Jackson. He's an absolutely awful football player. Overrated, not very good at all, really bad. I think he's got like more yellow cards than I think twice as many yellow cards as he's got goals. He's not going to get much better, but he does have a good finish on him. I'm going to give him credit here. Now the other problem is all the other times he's got it, he's had time to think. This time he doesn't, and what he does, he has a really good finish. He slops it in, dosh, finishes it really nicely because he's not thinking and he doesn't have time. You look at all the other chances he misses, it's because he has time and he doesn't have that composure. He might learn it, but I don't think he's going to get time on the job. They're just going to replace him. It's Chelsea. If he was at a different club, they might give him time, but Chelsea in January will just go out and get a decent striker and say, thanks mate, you're just not good enough. But he does have the finish. He just doesn't have any composure on the ball whatsoever. If he's not thinking, he scores. If he thinks, he doesn't. This goal was born of lazy ideas, okay? So Kovacic and Haaland's got the ball in the middle here. Bump, they're kind of running out of ideas and just really battering the ball off each other. Chelsea are doing a good job defending here. And why they're out of ideas? Because this ball right now needs to go out wide here. That's where it needs to go. Bosch, look at this guy. He's miles open. All he wants is the ball out wide here. Wants to something to deal with it, to slip it in the net box. Doesn't get it. So he just hits against the brick wall. But then, because they're just hitting against a brick wall, in comes somebody else just to have a strike, and he has a quality, clean one. But here's a problem. It takes a wicked deflection, which I'm going to show you. It's Thiago Silva again. I think he's been involved in probably, at least 3 or 4 goals after scoring one, deflecting one here. But let's have a little look at this deflection. Overall, they look like they're pretty good. They look like they're doing well, but watch this little toe. I'm in defensive shape, right? Watch as it goes. There it goes, flying. Thiago Silva sticks out his toe, pings off into the other direction. Pretty unlucky, but there we go. That's how football goes sometimes. Let's look at the last goal. Okay, so like on that other goal I was showing, talking to you about the space opening up on the one side of Man City, on the blind side actually, when they're pressuring the ball. They're pressuring the ball here, and there's space on this blind side. It's there again. You can see it right now. You can see this guy running in. Okay, so Sterling finds him. Bosch, he's on the blind side. He's in that gap. Same, but it's on the other side. This time it's on City's right-hand side instead of their left-hand side. It's the exact same problem they're having. Okay, so all of a sudden, goes in, receives the ball in the box, takes a touch, and then, don't worry, they're going to fix the gap very, very easily just by mullering the player. Blumph. Let's have a look at that because they do take him down. Not really much of a touch on the ball, but he does touch the ball before he goes through the player. He does touch him right there, touches the ball there. The ball's behind him, though, and he just pulls his leg out from underneath him. Pulls his leg down, gets the penalty. There was about a 5-minute delay in the game just before they took the penalty. Goodness knows what for. They were giving out yellow cards. A couple of people had the handbags out, pushing each other around. But I don't know. I just don't think the ref had any sort of control of this game really whatsoever. But, of course, this is Cole Palmer playing against his old club. And he does brilliant penalty right here. Steps up. A bit of argy-bargy here, if you can see on the extra box. Quality penalty, though. Saves his team a point. Good point for Chelsea as they move forward. 4-4. City got Liverpool next, I think. But they dispatched Liverpool. They're pretty much in and running for the... I don't think anyone can stop them. But they do have some defensive frailties at the back. But I'll cover that more next time in Cash Talks Football. See you next time.